Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mr. Sensible. Grab yourself a seat and make yourself at home. Today we're going to be looking once again at Stelan TV. He's convinced that we're living over 200 years in the future. This is quite puzzling, and some of the things he brings up are very odd. So before we get into that, quick thanks from our amazing patrons. With massive thanks to all my patrons, including new patrons Janie, Stephen Huxtable, Paul Reap, Surf, Number 6, Corpus Defectus, Tiffany Hall, Erebathron, Bardtail, and my newest patrons Francis Chimenti, William Foley and Alice Vongstrom. Thank you all so very, very much. So, Stelan, well, he's got a description on the video. That is a little odd as well. In a classic talk from 2011, Paris presents his discovery while working in an altered state. What did he discover? That the cosmic beings jumped our timeline ahead by 5 years. In fact, between 2009 to 10, Tosen says that 7 years transpired. At the end of 2010 became the end of 2017. Add to this the 10% time degradation over the past 2,000 years, or 200 years, and this means that we are, technically, living in the 23rd century. And then he shows some really impressive fluff maths. Well, I guess you'd better show us what you got then, Paris. Roll VT.
Does a Stelan from another dimension or another star system wear a watch? Because watches are very prevalent on the Earth. But does a being from another planet use a watch?
Well, that's hard to know. But if they're intelligent, I suspect they'll have some method of telling the time.
More specifically, if we look at Earth, and if we look in the animal world, if we ask the same question, for example, does a giraffe wear a watch?
Not that I've noticed, Paris, but if a giraffe did wear a watch, I guess it would have to be a mighty big one. Otherwise, if it's round his wrist, down at the ground, how the hell is he going to be able to tell the time from his head so high?
Does an eagle wear a watch? Does a dolphin wear a watch?
He's having a go at the birds now. Dolphins. Well, I guess it would have to be a waterproof, water-resistant watch. And where's he going to wear it? I don't think that dolphins have wrists.
So I'm not trying to be silly.
Well, you could have fooled me.
The human wears this instrument of decoding time. And this instrument is fairly new. And what if our watch wasn't working properly?
Well, wristwatches were first invented in the 1860s, but even as far back as around 2000 BC, things like sand and water clocks were used. Then there were incense clocks, candle clocks, lots of methods of measuring time. And if my watch wasn't working properly, I'd look at my phone, or I'd ask somebody else. It's not difficult.
So I want to talk today about time distortion and the true year we are in. Because I don't think, according to my calculations, I don't think we are in the year 2011. It's not my opinion, it's not my belief, it's nobody told me.
Well, having already seen your video, Stelan, I'm looking forward in a minute to you sharing your calculations.
I have calculated it. I have determined that we are not in 2011. I have written extensively about this. I have briefly discussed this in other videos.
To be fair to Stelan, this is an old video of his from 2011 that he's reposted here in 2019/20.
But time is artificially decoded, right? The giraffe doesn't have a watch, but it knows when to wake up, it knows when to go to sleep, because the giraffe is connected to the reality.
I think you've got a thing for giraffes. It knows when to wake up because it's no longer tired and it's daylight. It knows when to eat because it's bloody hungry.
The reality is connected to the other planets, the greater reality, and those planets are connected to the cosmos.
And my knee bone's connected to my thigh bone. This is silly. It's a lot of woo. Get on with it.
So we are all cosmically timed.
Me too!
But the human being uses a watch. And we assume that other interstellar races have their own way of telling time. Or they internally know time, just like the giraffe.
Leave the poor giraffes alone.
Just like the insects, they don't use watches.
I would have thought that most insects would be squished by a watch.
And they don't have a problem. The dolphin doesn't use a watch and is never late for dinner. But what happens is, when I realize that the human being, although we are living in the year 2011, in the actual cosmic year of progression is not 2011.
What on earth is the cosmic year of progression?
It was a profound discovery, I think. And it raised a lot of eyebrows, and most people don't understand it.
Well, I hope you didn't mention these ideas to anyone, because no, I don't think a lot of people would either accept or understand it.
I'm going to try to explain it here, because it's important.
Okay, cool. Please explain it.
That we are living in the year 2011. But I know that we are a technologically based society. We live in a manufactured reality. That appears to be real, but it's actually a synthetic reality. It's so advanced that we cannot see through the technology.
But you can apparently see through it. Sorry, I interrupted. Do go on.
Right? The sun, if we created a big enough spotlight of plasma energy, we could create a sun. Obviously, we don't have the technology, but somebody does.
Well, I guess all you actually need is a shed load of hydrogen and other gases, put them in space, and let them collapse under their own weight. But what makes you think someone has the technology to do this?
So, if we expand our mind enough, the sun can be interpreted as a technology, as a big spotlight.
Only we know it's not a spotlight. It's a ball. Over hours and days, you can see sunspots travel across the face of the sun and then come back round again. No, it's not a spotlight.
So we live in this manufactured reality, but we all are decoding time. We ourselves are like watches. We are decoding the movements of the cosmos. If our decoding mechanisms were damaged...
Paris, I've got a feeling that your decoding mechanisms for coping with reality may be damaged.
Or were offset, we would fall out of sync with the cosmos. we would fall out of sync with other planetary systems, other galaxies.
Well, I'm not really sure what you're getting at here. I don't know what in sync with other planets and other galaxies really means. If it's Tuesday here, who cares if it's Thursday on Alpha Centauri?
But within our own spatial realm, within our own world, all would appear normal, or would it? You see, if we were truly out of sync with the cosmos, and we were in sync with some retarded time frame.
A retarded time frame?
There would be signs. If my watch reads 12:05, and his watch reads 12:09, but the atomic clock reads 12:15, the atomic clock should be more correct. That means at 12:05 and 12:15, I'm 10 minutes out of sync with reality.
Paris, there is no absolute for time. Time is variable. It depends on the speed of the observer. It's already been proven that by flying an atomic clock in an aircraft that's synchronized with another atomic clock on the ground, that after the flight, they no longer match.
There would be a sign. The first physical sign is, I'm late for dinner.
Stop the press. Groundbreaking new theory explains why people are late for dinner.
And over a period of time, if I'm late for the meeting starts late. If I'm late for dinner, the food is cold. So there is this ripple effect. Just because my watch is wrong.
Well, wind it up or put a fresh battery in it or get it fixed or replace it. I don't want to miss my dinner because your watch is wrong.
But if one of my dials isn't working properly, and then that person's dials isn't working properly, and that person's dials isn't working properly, all of a sudden we are completely out of sync with the cosmos. And there will be signs of this, what I call time distortion. Time distortion is the difference between the cosmic time and the time in this reality.
Paris, if our watches are reading differently and we arrange to meet for a drink, who cares if you think it's 7:15 when you arrive and my watch says it's 12 minutes past 7? We're still there at the same time. It's just that I think it's 12 minutes past and you think it's quarter past. So you may have arrived 3 minutes after me, but we still meet. Have you never heard of daylight saving time or time zones? We're all here at the same, in quotes, time. It's just that in France, they think it's 3 p.m, whereas here in the UK, we're calling it 2 p.m. Who cares? Get over it. And stop picking on dolphins and giraffes.
I've often said that we are in the 23rd century, that we've been regressed, according to my calculation.
I've actually cut out a huge chunk where Paris is talking about war, microwave ovens, and the development of gasoline engines. But at last we come to the meat of the issue, his calculations.
That we've been regressed, according to my calculation, 200 years since the time of Jesus is when I looked at it. So at year 0, let's say, over till now, it's about 2,000 years. When I examined the world events, and then I used a lot of intuition to calculate exactly how much we're off.
Intuition is not calculation.
And then I looked at the distortion in today, and I tried to create a rough figure.
And I think that's enough from you, Paris. Just taking a guess is not calculation. It's not scientific. All you've done is pulled a figure from your butt and called it good. If anyone wants to see the whole of Stelan's explanation, please feel free. I'll put a link in the description below. I've given up because I don't have the time. Until I see you all next time, take care and stay sensible.
Shut up and sit down.